Good morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and I was always told I had a voice for radio, so today, it's a very, very special day. Today officially marks the 5th anniversary of PTCGRadio. I started the podcast, find it on iTunes, on June the 25th, 2012. It's now June the 25th, 2017, so I thought this would be a very good day to look at a card that's special for two reasons. Firstly, it's the new Incineroar, coming in the upcoming Shining Legends set. And secondly, it's got an attack name that will definitely, and I mean definitely, be renamed when it comes out in the UK, Europe, the Western world, US, etc. Because there is no way this one is getting through, shall we say. But more on that in a moment. He is a fire type, which means you're hitting weakness on Lurantis and Decidueye, and fire is a good type right now because it has a huge amount of tricks. Now, something that I don't usually mention in my fire Pokemon videos is the promo Lurantis. The promo Lurantis allows all of your fire Pokemon to do an extra 20 damage. Why don't I mention it? Because it's a little bit clunky and fire decks have other tricks. You can use it, you can play it. Generally, it fits much better into grass decks with Forest of Giant Plants and Lurantis GX as well. But it is an option here. We've got Kiawe coming out in Burning Shadows. Allows you to search your deck for 4 fire energy. Attach them to one of your Pokemon, although it will end your turn. We've got the Fire Oricorio that came out in Guardians Rising, which allows you to search for free basic fire Pokemon and put them onto your bench, a very nice setup attack. We've got the Baby Volcanion, hey Nick, which allows you to do 20 damage while attaching 2 fire energy to your bench. And we've got Scorched Earth, that stadium card that allows you to discard a fire energy from your hand and draw free cards. Yay! Being weak to water means you are weak to Alolan, Ninetales and Lapras, which is a bit of a pain, but 170 HP is huge. I've had a quick look, and at least in the Sun and Moon set, there are no Stage 2s with this much HP, at least non-GXs. We have a bunch that have 160 HP, but this seems to be the first one that has 170 HP. Bit of a power creep, but hey, it's Incineroar, and life is good. Now, the first attack for Incineroar, for just a fire and a colourless, does 50 damage, but if any of your benched Pokemon have any damage counters on them, it does 130. So here, we are in the same position as Drampa's Berserk attack. You do a teensy bit less damage, but it's the same basic deal. And we've seen Drampa's been a very popular Pokemon, because it's really not that difficult to get the extra damage on Drampa. You can use Rainbow Energy, although using Rainbow Energy is a little bit of a pain because you then can't attach for the turn. And of course, if you're playing the Baby Volcanion, then you can't attach that using Power Heater. So I'm not a huge fan of that here. For the minute, we have Team Magma's Secret Base that puts 2 damage counters on any basic Pokemon you put down. Slight problem here, because of course, it's incredibly likely that this is going to be rotated before Shining Legends actually comes out. But that's okay, ladies and gentlemen, because in Burning Shadows, we're getting Po-Town. Po-Town is very similar to Team Magma's Secret Base, except it's 3 damage counters rather than 2, and it's when you evolve, not when you bench a basic. But the theory still remains, and you can do the extra damage here. Now, speaking of the damage, 130 damage for 2 energy is very, very good. You add a Choice Band, you're up to 160. You add a Professor Kukui and you're up to 180. And if you add no extra damage but hit for weakness, you're going to be hitting for 260 damage, which is enough to KO the big Fire Weak GXs. Think Decidueye, think Solgaleo. This, ladies and gentlemen, is an awful lot of damage. And that brings us to the attack name. The genuinely titled Goddamn Punch. It is a fantastic name that will never make it to the Western world, US, Europe, etc. That gets bleeped out on US network television. And, add to that, it's a religious reference. It has the word God in it. And you may notice that Pokemon does not ever get involved with that. I'll give you 2 examples. Arceus, often referred to as the god Pokemon, not true. Officially called the Alpha or First Pokemon, often referred to as the Creator Pokemon, and he's got some Pokedex entries that would back him up there. But not actually called the God Pokemon. You want one more example? How about Dragonair from Sun and Moon? His attack was called Dragon's Prayer in Japan, changed to Dragon's Wish when it was released in the Western world. Because prayer is a word with religious connotations, they don't get used. There is no religion in the Pokemon world. Goddamn Punch will not survive the transition, at least in that form. The attack will be the same. It will do the same thing, but it will never, ever keep the name. It does have a second attack, though. The much more boringly named Flare Drive. 180 damage. Discard all fire energy attached to Incineroar for a fire colourless. So, of course, the best way to do this is to get a non-fire energy on there. Then you attach 2 fire energy, discard, and so on and so forth. What you can't do here is just pile a whole bunch of fire energy to use turn after turn, because you discard all energy. All fire energy. So whereas something like Turtonator GX, you discard 2 fire, so you can put 4 fire on there and discard 2 one turn, 2 the next. Can't do that of Incineroar, you've got to discard them all every time. But in Expanded, don't forget that we have the card Blacksmith, so you can have a non-fire energy on there, Blacksmith 2 energy on, do 180 and discard them. Blacksmith them back, do 180 and discard them, and so on and so forth until you've won the game. And 180 is a huge amount of damage. This will KO most of your EXs and basic GXs. You add a Choice Band, it does 210, which is enough to get any Stage 1 GX other than a Alolan Muck, which has 220. You add a Professor Kukui, and now you're doing 230. Now, I know you could use the promo Lurantis to boost this up to 250, be one-hit KOing your Stage 2 GXs like Lunala, but the issue I have here is you're already rocking a Stage 2 with Incineroar. Do you really want to be rocking a Stage 1 with Lurantis as well? Now, the huge downside with this is that you're using a Stage 2, and you're having to use free energy on that Stage 2. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is an awful lot of resources to put into one Pokemon. I don't think it's going to be a great idea. It just seems like it's a bit too much. Now remember, we have Alolan Vulpix, which can be used to search out those Pokemon. Beacon, 0 energy, all good, will help you set up. And in Burning Shadows, we're getting Diancie, which has an attack that's exactly like this Spiritomb. You get to just search your deck for a Pokemon that evolves from one of your Pokemon and evolve it. But it's for a Fairy energy. And I know we want to have a non-fire energy on Incineroar anyway, but it just feels like the clunk is real here. Now, don't forget you can combine this with Incineroar GX, and I think at this stage I'm starting to like it a little bit more. Incineroar GX has 250 HP. It's got a really, really good single energy attack, Hustling Strike. 10 damage plus 20 more for each of your benched fire Pokemon, not to mention a really nice 200 damage for free energy GX attack that also burns them to do 220. And then Choice Band goes up to 250, and there's those big one-hit KOs. Incineroar, much to my chagrin, because it is maybe my personal favourite card in the Sun and Moon block so far, in all the Sun and Moon sets. It's not proven to be a powerhouse card, even with the single energy attack. But if Incineroar ever gets good, I really like this Incineroar as well. You can't always do 130 damage because you've got 6 bench Pokemon out. You would need a Skyfield, and we think that's about to rotate. With Hustling Strike for 1 energy on an Incineroar. That is where Goddamn Punch comes in. 2 energy, 130. There is no good 2 energy attack with Incineroar, and if you've got a low bench of fire, there's no 1 energy attack that I really want to use here. I think in an Incineroar deck, this new Incineroar absolutely has a place. The question you've got to ask is there a good Incineroar deck around at the moment? My heart says yes. My head is not so sure. Huge thank you to everyone that's been around at any point in the past 5 years of PTCG Radio. Here's to 5 more years. Oh yeah, I need to give Incineroar a score. Let's go between 2 and 3 wassies. Don't give half wassies. That would be barbaric. And this is not a day for barbaracy. Make sure you like this video. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you comment if you have anything to say. Follow me on Twitter at The Wassy and go follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a celebratory day. I feel like celebrating. An Incineroar video seems like a very good way to do things. Although there's going to be another video coming shortly. Just so you know. Have a wonderful day, ladies and gentlemen, and as always, the most important thing, look after yourselves until next time. Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.